Hey everyone, it's Gabriel here, and we get common questions asked to my wife Zoe and me about how do we manage our business as a married couple, and should couples and people in relationships start a business together, and how do they manage it, and how do they navigate through all the challenges and arguments and disagreements. And this has been questions that we've been receiving over the past few years. And I never really thought about doing a video like this because we were only married for 3 years. We've been dating for 7 years. We've been working together for many years. I never really felt like I have the credibility to do so. However, over the last few years, as we started to build a multi-million-dollar business and running a family together and having kids and being able to navigate through all that, I feel that now might be the right time for me to start sharing. Although I can say that my relationship and my marriage is not perfect, my business is not perfect, there's still a lot of challenges ahead. But I feel that this is a good time for me to address this now. And also with the recent headlines, if you live in Singapore, there's this whole drama going on about a company, a YouTube company that has over 1 million subscribers, and they have been around in Singapore for a long time. And if you're in Singapore, you probably know what I'm talking about. Every Singaporean probably heard of this channel and even watched one of their videos before. So this company is actually run by a husband and wife. And what happened was that over the last, I think 1 or 2 years, there was a breakdown in their marriage and they announced their divorce. And ever since then, things kind of went downhill from there. There has been a public exposure on where the ex-husband says that the ex-wife is creating a toxic culture in a company where there were employee abuse going on. And then the ex-wife came out in the interview recently sharing about how that was because they had a failed marriage and how this was all caused by the ex-husband's unfaithfulness to the marriage, which caused a lot of issues with the culture in the company. And I'm not going to share what's the company name because you guys, if you are living in Singapore, you probably heard of it already. And I'm not trying to write on their name in order to get more views, okay? I don't want to do that, and I just really want to talk about the subject of marriage and business and really share a different light to that, because when this whole saga went on and this whole drama unfolded, I've saw a lot of comments on people saying that that's the reason why marriage and business shouldn't go together, and how married couples shouldn't start a business together to prevent all these things from going on. And I really disagree with that. So that's the reason why I am starting to talk about marriage and business. So once again, in this video, I'm not going to poke fun at this company or add on to the negativity that's going on. I don't think I should be doing that. In fact, what I want to do is add more positivity to the world. And so in order for me to do that, I just want to focus on the problem at hand, and I want to share my views, my opinion about why married couples should work together as business partners, provided that their marriage is strong. And the reason why I'm sharing this again is because my wife and we started from nothing, and we now have a 7-figure business working together, profitable, and we are technically financially free. And more importantly, we are happy. We are not killing each other yet. So in this video, I want to cover some common questions about building a business or working together as a married couple. Should you do it? Should you not do it? And I think it's different for everybody. And why I think married couple makes the best partners if they have a strong marriage. How do you handle working together, separating your private lives? And how do you build a strong business together if you choose to do so without killing each other? And then I'll share the advantages and disadvantages of working together as a married couple based on my experience. And then I'll end it off by sharing if you should do it and what are the things to consider if you decide to do it. So before I dive right into the topic, I appreciate the early thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. Every week I post videos on how I achieve financial freedom, reach optimal health, hacking my happiness level and productivity level, and build a happy marriage. So if you're into any of that stuff, consider subscribing to this channel. All right, so let me first start off with my experience building a business with my wife and why I think married couples makes the best partners and the biggest mistake couples make when they work together. Allow me to share that by sharing a quick story of how I got started, right? My wife, Zoe, and we basically came out from nothing. We didn't have rich family. We didn't came from a well-to-do family. And we met each other around 11 years ago. And we started to see each other and started dating about 7 years ago. And during that time, I remember when we first started dating, I was in a bad spot. I made some good money in my late teens and early 20s, and that's another video for another time. And then I made some really dumb life choices and lost all my family life savings, lost my lifestyle, and basically had a reset in my life. So we then started working together on a few things together. And I felt that was a great, foundation, because when I first started out, dating her, I had kind of a bit of money and I wasn't very sure whether she loved me because of who I am or because of my money. But when I eventually had a reset, that gave me more clarity to know is this someone that will build a future together with me, or will just leave off what I'm building? So we started working on a few things together, but we never had quite a breakthrough in any. Although I did find that we had some chemistry working together. She was good at some things that I wasn't, and I was good at something that she wasn't. So eventually, we didn't work together. She went on to do her own things, and I did my own things. This is also the period that we grow spiritually as well. We started to go church together, and we started to attend services together. We started to hang around with people with happy marriages, because we really want to learn from people who have been there, done that. And during this period, we were kind of building ourselves stronger in terms of our spirit self and in terms of our own fulfillment. And eventually we decided to get married, and that's probably another video on that if anyone is interested. But here's where it gets interesting. You see, this is where both our life had a breakthrough in terms of all the areas of our life, in our career, in our business, in our marriage, when we start to have a conversation about what we want our marriage to be. And then things, in both of our life had a breakthrough in all areas, right? Especially our income, especially our happiness level, especially our business, when we finally had a conversation about what we want our marriage to be. And I think that's so underrated today, because people get into marriage because, it's time. Most of them is because it's time for it, because, we've been dating for many years. It's time. It's just a natural progression. And they didn't really have clarity of why they enter into the marriage in the first place. And, because both our parents didn't have a good marriage, right? We saw a lot of breakdown in their marriages. And so we decided that we didn't want to follow the footsteps of our parents. And so we wanted to take a different approach, right? Rather than a passive approach, we wanted to take a more proactive approach. And we started to ask questions, right? We started to, in a way, interview friends, talk to people who were good in their marriage, how they build a strong marriage. And we have also witnessed people's marriage breaking down. Not that we're judging them or anything, but we were learning from them what went wrong, so that we can basically learn from the mistakes and also the foundation they have set for us. So we started talking about two things: the vision for our marriage and the purpose of our marriage. And I think this is the starting point of our breakthrough. So number one is that the purpose of our marriage. We both decided to agree that our marriage wasn't just a piece of paper and doing it because it was just the right time. But we knew that a marriage is a covenant. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing today, that a marriage is not just a piece of paper, it's not just a contract, right? It is a covenant. And if you really study the word covenant and the understanding of covenant in historical times, even in ancient times, what simply a covenant made, right, is, and it can be between two brothers, right? Two brothers, two people, two tribes, they come together, and the tribe leaders make a covenant with each other. And I mean, there's a reason why they do that, because back in the day, safety is one thing, right? I mean, there could be raids from different tribes and wars happening. And so countries or tribe leaders, they will actually make covenant with each other, so to protect each other and to kind of stick with each other so that they are stronger together. Let me explain what it means by a covenant. In short, when two persons join a covenant together, what it simply means is that what they're saying essentially is, what is mine is now yours, and what is yours is now mine. And so in ancient time, this makes a lot of sense, because now it means that my resources, right, my people, right, when you are in danger, right, when you are under attack, my people will come to you, will come to your aid. And the same goes around, where when I'm in danger, your people will come to my aid. And if there's anything that we need, my stuff is yours, your stuff is mine. So we help each other and we become stronger together. But what this also means is that all my good stuff is yours, but all my bad stuff is yours. So in the past, what they do is they practice the fact that even my debt, right? So all my good stuff, all my resources is yours, but even my debt, right? My weaknesses, because you have to cover for my weaknesses, and I have to cover for your weaknesses, right? So not just my strength is yours, but my weakness is also yours. So you can't just say, you want to get into a marriage, a covenant, because I just want your good stuff, but I do want your ugly stuff, right? We all have the good and the ugly, and we all have certain baggages, and we understood very clearly what that meant. So when we got married and when we formed this covenant, I knew very clearly that I'm going to take a lot of her baggage, and as well as she knows that I have a lot of baggage of my own, and that we have to either let go of this baggage, and if we can't let go of this baggage, we have to support each other carrying the baggage until one of us is willing to let go. And this also means that we start to cover for each other on what we lack. And the second thing is that we start to have a vision of our marriage and what we want our marriage to be. Now, I know that I haven't started talking about business yet, but let me get there because this is a very important foundation to that. So like a business needs to have a vision, because if a business that is just meant for profits, a lot of times it will collapse or it will not go through the tough times because the why is not strong enough. And the vision is that why. And so what we realized was that in a marriage, it's the same thing like a business. We need to have a strong vision of what we want our marriage to be and why are we staying in a marriage in the first place. And so this is our vision, okay? So we got together and we wrote this down on a piece of paper. And our vision is to break boundaries together, to achieve the impossible together. And we do that because we want to glorify Christ and be a testimony of God's love in our marriage so that others can see God or see the love of God through our marriage. So in order to do that, we need to live an abundant life. We need to live a life of joy and happiness and blessing so that others can see that. And we didn't want to do it just for show, right? It's not a facade, but we really wanted to live out the life within us, the joy and the happiness within us. Okay, we want to live out that so that people can see the joy in us, right? And we need to live a life of abundance. So what I mean by abundance, I believe like abundance and joy and happiness all comes together because it's hard for you to share God's blessing when you are living poor, right? Or when you are living month by month and you have not enough money. That doesn't show a glory, or that doesn't glorify God, or that doesn't basically live up to our vision. And so to live a life of abundance where we can give and be a blessing to others, we decided to start working together again and start our business together. And this time round, the business had a breakthrough because we knew what the business was for. The business wasn't just to generate profits for our own sake. We started a business to generate profits to fund the vision of the marriage and not the other way around. So this is the mistakes that most couples make. They start a business to make profits, maybe just for their own self-interest, but not because for the sake of the vision of their marriage, or do they even have a vision of their marriage in the first place? And so what became more important wasn't the marriage, but the business. So they will usually put business before marriage, and that's like putting the cart before the horse. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I think couples make today when they enter into a business together, right? They put business before marriage. So I want to show you a very quick example of how I put it. If you are going to enter into a business together, your business needs to be on a stronger foundation, and it's on a foundation of a strong marriage. So let me show you a very quick visual representation, right? So in order for me to build a strong business, I believe that it has to be built on a strong foundation of a marriage, not the other way around, okay? And then a strong marriage has to be on a stronger foundation of basically yourself or your inner self, okay? Your inner self. And that consists of, depending on what you believe in, right? But we believe is a combination of spirit, soul, and body. And so, because you see, when people go into a marriage, they are hoping for the other party to fulfill them. But what you need to understand is that if you go into a marriage because you want the other party to fulfill you, you're going to keep drawing from each other, and it's going to be super draining eventually, and you're going to drain each other. So entering a marriage is when two person is complete, right? Two person who's complete, who's fulfilled, who is happy. They go into a marriage together and they make each other happier. So it's not like I'm empty. I go into a marriage. I hope that the marriage can fulfill me. Okay, you are supposed to be full and fulfilled before you enter into a marriage. In order for marriage to be strong, the idea is to build up yourself first in order to have a strong foundation for the marriage. And then when your marriage is strong, the business naturally becomes easier. And this is why the marriage should always come first before the business. So before all this, when we were working together on a few things, we didn't really have the kind of synergy, and our business were not growing, and there wasn't any breakthrough. But after we aligned our purpose and our vision of our marriage, our business actually grew so much faster, and we made more money that we are now technically financially free in just a short period of time. Now, again, I'm not saying that's for everyone, but I realized that from my own personal experience, it was so much easier for me to build my business when I'm fulfilled and happy in my marriage, because it just frees up my mind to focus and work on my business and serving people and creating impact in my business when my own family is happy. It's so hard for me to do that when my own family is not happy, my own wife is not happy, we're constantly arguing every single day, and then I have to build a business at the same time. And when there's alignment in my marriage, between Zoe and I, we realized that we work faster and we are able to agree more than we disagree in the business. Even though there are still disagreement, we're able to see above and beyond personal reasons, and we're able to see, okay, we are just trying to achieve the same objective for each other, for our marriage. And so right now, I want to share with you the advantages and disadvantages of running a business together. So number one is that there's a lot of synergy. So as I mentioned, when you work on the marriage first, your business becomes easier. And that's because a lot of what you learn in marriage can be applied in business. So what I've realized is that working on my marriage can strengthen my business. And then when my business is doing well, it strengthens the marriage. And here are some examples. See, there are many things that are similar in a marriage and a business. So number one, in business, you need a vision. It can't just be for profits. The why is important, especially when things get tough. Many businesses fail because they don't have a strong why. And this is the same thing when it comes to a marriage, when there's no vision in the marriage and there's no why in the marriage. And when you have an alignment of the business vision and the marriage vision, this two goes hand in hand. So when you have a vision in your marriage, it becomes easier for you to think and align the vision for the business. In business, you need revenue coming in. In marriage, you also have household income. And when there's income and revenue, you need to manage the finance and plan the budget in your business. And this is the same thing because you need to manage your household income and plan family budget. And here's a quick example. I remember there was a time where our business would bring in money and we were not profitable because every money that we bring in, we were spending it. And then what happened was that we applied what we did for our household budget. So in our household income, every income that comes in, we will set aside 20% into an account that we will not touch. It's basically a concept called pay yourself first. And then we realized that this same concept can be applied in business. And so every revenue that comes in, we set aside 20% into another account and we put that as profits. And then we spend the rest. Just by doing this simple switch, we were able to go from a company that was in negative cash flow into a company that was generating positive cash flow every single month. In business, you also have employees and you have to run your team based on a culture defined by the set of core values. At home, instead of having employees, you have kids. And you also have a family culture defined by a set of core values. And it's honestly hard to separate those two. So here's an example, right? In our marriage, one of our core values is open, honest communication. We believe that transparency and honesty is the only way to build trust in a relationship. And that's the same thing that we apply in our business. And we started to see a better culture in our business just simply because of that. We promote a culture of open communication between our team members, and our team members feel heard. And because they feel heard, they are more likely to stay. So when we were practicing open, honest communication at home, it makes it so much easier for us to practice open, honest communication in our workplace with our team members. So simply because of this, combining marriage and business makes both marriage and business way more meaningful. So the second advantage is having a partner that you can trust. Who else can you trust more than your life partner? Many of my past businesses broke down because of partnership issues, because there is a difference between what they want and what I want. But when I have Zoe as my business partner, as well as my life partner, it was much easier for us to align what we both want in our marriage and our business. The third advantage is accountability. When you are your own boss, it's hard for you to be accountable to anyone. And what I mean by that is that because you don't report to anyone, it's easier for you to hide your mistakes and easier for you to be lazy and easier for you to not do the things that you need to do. But when you are living together, especially in a marriage, there's many times that I am lazy, I want to be lazy, I don't want to work, but because Zoe is there, my life partner is just right beside me, I have to be accountable to her and have to be responsible instead of just thinking about my own needs. The fourth advantage is you cover for each other weaknesses and you play to your strength. Remember that I mentioned that a covenant is all that is mine is yours and all that is yours is mine. And what we realized is that we were able to play very well together because there were things that I was very good at and there were things that she was very good at, and we were able to cover for each other weaknesses. And because we were able to build a trust that whatever I'm doing is for the best of our marriages, there's a lot less doubt about each other when we are taking certain action, and there's more conviction to our actions. So now comes the disadvantages. Although I call it disadvantages, I don't think there are disadvantages if you enter into a marriage and a business together for the right reason. So the first so-called disadvantage is that because your business is tied to your marriage, if your marriage falls, most of the time the business won't survive unless the business has grew to a point where both of you are no longer a key man, which is unlikely unless you have a billion-dollar business. When the marriage or the relationship fails, people in the company naturally starts to take sides. Personal emotions gets involved in the decision making, and it can get ugly. This also means that the business could fail outside of anything to do with the business. For example, if I cheat in a marriage, technically me cheating in my marriage has nothing to do with my business, but this will affect the business because the marriage is tied to the business. Again, this can be an advantage rather than disadvantage. It's a reminder that you should always put your relationship and marriage first before your business. And there will be a time where you have to sacrifice your profits for the sake of your marriage. And the other thing is that you can have accountability. You have more accountability in your marriage. And this is why my wife had access to everything that I have, right? She has access to my phone, my email address. Basically, there's full accountability on who I'm talking to, who I'm communicating. She doesn't check my phone every single day, right? Because she's not checking our insecurities. But the reason why we have this is so that we think twice if we want to do anything funny. See, at the end of the day, I don't trust myself. I don't trust my own flesh. Sometimes when bad things happens, emotion can get the best of you. And honestly, all it takes is one bad day for something to go sideways. And it doesn't matter how happy your relationship or marriage is, all it takes is that one bad day where your emotion gets the best of you for everything to crumble and fall. And so I don't want to take that for granted, and this is the reason why we have accountability of each other so that we prevent each other from doing stupid stuff during our lowest time. And when your business and your livelihood, right, is tied to your business, that creates another layer of accountability that if you were to screw this up, then you will screw up your own income as well. The second disadvantage is very real, and this is something that my wife and I always have to work on. And that's the gray area on spending time together. Couples who work together, they might be communicating in business, and it creates an illusion that you're communicating in your relationship. But it's not the same thing. When you're communicating about work, you're not necessarily talking about your personal life and marriage. And so you can sometimes be disconnected and you will drift apart even though you're working together. So the solution to this is actually quite simple. Set up simple rules and draw the line clear. For example, some couples that we know will have the rule of no business talk once they enter the bedroom. For us, we like to set up date nights to ensure that we spend quality time with each other. And we typically do that on a Thursday night. And we do our best not to talk about business, and we just talk about our personal life. So we ensure that it's a consistent communication about our marriage and our personal life rather than just all about business. The third disadvantage could be disagreement on company direction. Again, conflict is a norm in any relationship. You cannot see conflict as a bad thing, but as a way to strengthen the relationship. So this is where things can get a little tricky, because when there are disagreement, especially if you are in a relationship together, you tend to involve emotions that shouldn't be there in the first place, because disagreement happens all the time and it's nothing personal. You need to remember that it's all about the objective that you guys are trying to achieve together. And so there's no bad intention with my disagreement with you. So it's not personal when you are disagreeing with each other. You can't take it personal when someone is disagreeing with you on business level and take that as a personal marriage issue. So it's hard to define a clear line for this, but our solution is that usually when we have a disagreement, we tend not to continue to talk to each other if there's a lot of emotion. We will just give it some time, right? We'll just spend a few hours doing our own thing, let the situation calm down and let the emotion calm down before we talk to each other again. So this is why you shouldn't get into a business together if the marriage or relationship isn't strong and there's a lot of emotion going on, because there will be double the conflict. There needs to be trust that both are trying to achieve the same vision and objective together, and there's nothing personal. So to summarize this video, should you do it? Should you get into a business as a married couple? And my answer is depends. Everyone's situation is different. Maybe I was just lucky to find the right girl and both of us happen to come from a poor background. I believe the dynamic is very different if, let's say, the husband is rich in the first place or the wife is rich in the first place. Then it's a whole new thing to deal with. So I can only speak from my own personal experience and my own personal situation. So whether you should work together depends on this one question. If I would do it all over again, I would ask myself, is my marriage strong right now? Because the marriage is the lead to the business. If my marriage is at a 9 out of 10, then our business will reach a level of 9 and it's not easy to surpass 9. And if you personally rate your marriage 6 out of 10, then it's hard for your business to go past 6 out of 10. So then what you need to do first is not to work on a business, but to work on yourself and to work on your marriage first before starting a business together. So let me know what's your takeaway from this video and if this video is of value to you. Once again, this is based on my own situation and my own experience. Let me know if you agree or disagree, and if you disagree, why. I'm always happy to hear another perspective. If you have gained something from this video, remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you like more content like this. That's all I have for you today. Bye for now.